I thought I didn't have something to start with. You know, I was just going to do a cold open. But it occurred to me yesterday, I was on my YouTube, they call it the studio, where you can look at demographics and recent comments, and I hit a button and discovered like 37, you know, I had to keep scrolling down, comments I'd missed reacting to, and I read every one, and I try to react at least with a heart or an emoji or an answer to a question. And sometimes I have no answer because the questions can be complex. And so anyway, I discovered this vast number of things I hadn't addressed. And so I know now, and I apologize if you feel like you commented and were kind of yelling into the void. I'm actually here and I'm listening to you guys. And it made me think of that idea in a bigger sense of missing messages. And when you find them, thinking, oh my God, I didn't address this at the time. There's that whole idea of divine timing, which I think includes things like that. I mean, it's how it is. It's how it unfolded. So I think it's useful to look for what's the upside of this. And I think it counsels patience. That you might think you're on top of things. And it turns out, sorry, you know, it turns out you've, I might have to start this over. I think I'll keep going in the belief that even the mistakes are part of it. The other thing that seems to reflect that same idea is procrastination. You know, I think we all feel like we're so hard on ourselves, and we have this to-do list that is like a scroll that you can't even find the end of it. Because as soon as you've done one thing, the other thing takes its place. And you have to reprioritize. But I think there's something in when we procrastinate that might indicate the need that there's something else more important to do than whatever the checklist we thought, you know, the order of priority we thought, you know, in our kind of limited way, this matters most. That I get to the mail today and get those letters. I may have missed the message, or, you know. And sometimes when all our plans, best laid plans, go awry, and it can be so frustrating. There's something in, you know, not giving up, but just relaxing a little bit. I just think we drive ourselves hard. As Rumi says, put down the whip and dance. One of my favorite quotes, and I don't think it's just to let myself off the hook. I think it's important to not drive ourselves to exhaustion, or, you know, when we feel ill or distracted or depressed or distracted by something good and exciting, and we just want to go, you know, cut the rug, or which is an old expression for dancing. So that question of divine timing, and I think it's hard to trust that delays that are very frustrating, and particularly to discover something you that was hiding in plain sight and you just didn't see it. So how could you prioritize it? And just loosen the reins a little bit. Five of Cups. Somehow the only way of getting out of that sadness is to feel it. To feel it first. It's the idea that some connection is slipping away. And it's kind of like a domino effect. There's one that this person is actually kicking over, and then this whole line of bowls. Kind of in a progression heading toward the whirlpool, you know, like how much can I lose? And the one in the hand still that is full of gemstones. There's something precious still available to us, even when we feel Cups energy that it's all gonna drain away. It can be like emotional exhaustion. Tell us about the emotional exhaustion, please. I don't know why I'm smiling. It's like, tell us about the exhaustion. Hermit. Hermit mode. Going back into the self. Not isolating necessarily, but taking the time out to see, where does this fit in my life? Not by doing busy work. On the board, the Hermit is looking right at this person. And not saying much. Hermit is in withdrawal. But it's a withdrawal to remove distractions and really get an understanding. It's the 9 card, a card that speaks to the self. Like to go inside and observe all the emotions. Not to be afraid, but to glean the lesson, Hermit energy. And I think it's also, you know, to remind yourself and set an example of how we can stand back and look at our feelings, even the sad ones, and that's not to indulge in them. That's to allow them to elevate. How does sadness elevate? Is there a prioritizing of alone time, of reflection? Yeah. Prioritizing of alone time. This person is in the bubble, you know, has something to do that isn't to do with the outside world right now. You know, both characters are sitting. All the characters are sitting. It's not a time for action. It's a time for reflection. And to kind of transmute this kind of alone into this 7 of Wands alone, which is purposeful, Wands energy. What we're trying to do is to get centered. Sometimes you have to hold external influences at bay, go into the deep self, and feel your way through something that it's not a joyride, let's put it that way. Under Five of Cups, Five of Swords. Fives are numbers that indicate a need for change. This is like a disconnect. I don't understand. I can't hear it. Why is this happening to me? Why? The answer is inside. All those missed messages that I had. Of messages I wanted to answer. You might be waiting for a message from somebody else and it's not coming in, and yet here is the spirit guide, trying to get through a different type of message from a different source. 5 and 5 is 10. 10 in major arcana is wheel. There's something, which is a card of divine timing. There's something about not yet. The sadness can be utilized in the service of enlightenment, but it involves staying still. And this is not an uncomfortable, this is an uncomfortable energy to be in. So we might want to struggle against it and distract ourselves. That was the other thing that occurred. It's the idea of acceptance, not denial, which is an expression I think is valid, and I sort of hate it. Because sometimes I want to stay in denial. I don't understand. That can't be the message. Sit still and feel it. I don't think so. Sword energy. I don't think so. Tell us about Hermit, please. Card of Virgo, earth energy, getting grounded in yourself. 5 of Swords is not grounded. It's up in the head. It's a kind of resistance. Okay. On the bottom of the deck, 10 of Pentacles. That's a card of belonging. Kind of the safety of the collective or of the group. So it's not, they're both earth energy, and you could see them as being opposites, but it's only an apparent opposite. This is somehow in service of connection, even though it looks like a disconnect. So under Hermit, we have King of Wands, action taker. Wands energy. The action is to remove oneself, to get centered. They're in a meditative pose. Going into the quiet to get the enlightenment. Out of the head, 5 of Swords, into this heartfelt, action-taking, I know what to do. I know where to turn. Wands energy, directional. I know where to go. I know what to do. Not a card of isolation, a card of the family, of the group, of connectivity, of plugging back in. There was a reason for this disconnect. Okay, on 5 of Swords, 10 of Cups. 2 tens in a row. Cycles closing out. New things ready to begin. 10 and 10 is 20. 20 is judgment. A big decision or a call to new life. It's almost like the mental switchboard. You know, how do we connect? Switchboards were things where you plugged in. I just said something about plugging back in. In the old days, somebody would sit at a switchboard and could direct calls by unplugging from one, you know, if you're going to forward a call. It was done physically by somebody who would take this one out and put it in the principal's office or wherever. Redirect the call. Queen of Swords. You know, where this is kind of the disconnect, a lack of clarity, I can't hear it. Queen of Swords is moving forward in great clarity, having ruled out what doesn't belong. Maybe having discovered a new priority. And it involves forward movement. The need for change, you know, when you're stuck up in your head. You might be an air sign. You might be trying to connect to an air sign. And there may be this buildup of messages. Like there's not only the crow, you know, messenger bird trying to get through to this person. There's a whole lineup of birds. There's a delay. Ten of Cups. From 5 of Cups. Feeling lost. Feeling the loss. To this card of happiness, fulfillment, with other people, with the people you care about, who care about you and might not be able to talk about it right now, or the messages aren't getting through. Okay. On 5 of Cups, Moon card. Water energy, like the Cups card. It may call for looking into that emotion. Card of Cancer. It's not following the sadness down the, down the drain. It's a kind of surrender to feelings, whether they're comfortable or not. It doesn't mean we have to focus on it in the sense of all the questions. Why do I feel this? What's happening? When is this going to change? It's a quiet reflection. What's my role in this? What's my job? Going into the quiet to determine, what do I need to do? And at this moment, it's to not think about it, but somehow in the quiet, contemplate it. And right now I'm thinking, that's a drag. I don't want to do that. Acceptance, not denial. There's something to me in this moon card very reassuring. A card of divine feminine, things that are submerged coming to the surface. And maybe the first thing that pops up when you submerge in your feelings is sadness. And this one is turning away from it. Has in fact set up a kind of boundary. This is being in cooperation with that energy of isolation. And even as I say it, I just think, hell no, that's a terrible message to deliver. But there's something in that wand's energy of turning inward that's really empowering. Tell us about this King of Wands. What does King of Wands, what are they passionate about? What do they want to do? I think they want to reveal. Moon card, 5 of Cups, is kind of not self-indulgent, 5 of Cups, but wants to communicate in Wands energy. Passionately wants a back and forth. This King of Wands does not want isolation. Acceptance, not denial. Maybe that's what's going to be talked about. 7 of Wands to 8 of Wands. Out of the isolation, where all the wands are kept at bay. And then somehow, in divine timing, the messages will flow again. They'll penetrate the bubble. Tell us about the 7 of Wands. This meditative place, solar plexus lit up. That solar plexus is the energy of what you do in the world, kind of the ego, the center place that is about finding your direction and purpose. And sometimes you have to get quiet. Is it this one? 6 of Wands. So we have 6, 7, 8 of Wands. There is a progression here. There is a, from the isolation to coming back into the world, back into the light. To celebrate something, to be proud of what you've done thus far. And I think what you've done is gone inward for answers. Because you're not getting them at the moment from the outside. These messages, it's sort of like when you, like with me, I looked at this part of the, that I didn't even, look, I opened up a Pandora's box, but in a good way, of all the messages that had come in that I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen them. This can be a card of what's hidden, what's in the unconscious. Something gets cleared away and it begins to flow again. You're back in communication. On Hermit, 7 of Pentacles. It's been a long time in isolation. And there were perhaps years when you felt like nothing was growing. But then suddenly, up pops the evidence. Something above ground. Into your daily life, out of this unconscious place. the fruits of your labor that have been underground, now popping up on Hermit, which is earth energy. And it might be investing in yourself. I mean, we have the Seven of Pentacles, Seven of Wands. This was not wasted time. This was investing in oneself, in getting centered, I'm getting an image of almost like clearing the weeds away so that this thing has a life force, you know, so that this thing can grow. It's been a long time, perhaps years, in the making. Also Pentacles energy. In the growing. And there's something root bound about this. I mean, it's deeply rooted, but all the energy has been beneath the surface. Now it's coming into your life, into somebody's life. The result of growth. Is it this one? This one? King of Cups. It has to do with love. But again, this posture of the sitting meditation. And it, I think, is not kind of a removal from life, it's somehow through life. Heart activation. It involves opening up, perhaps after a time in sadness, when all we could feel, Cups energy, was the loss. I think somebody's ready to feel again. And there's an opportunity for this, for kind of something going the distance. Reconnecting. Tell us about the reconnection, please. Death card. Also a card of water energy, feelings energy, Scorpio. A card of change. All these fives, well, two of them, indicate a need for change. And here it is. The next phase. Something that's been shrouded with this shroud is now coming within reach. Death and rebirth. Something that's been shrouded. That idea of the underwater energy of the moon, of the bubble in Seven of Wands, of the vortex in Five of Cups. You know, it served a purpose. It's almost like the labor pains, because these fives are not comfortable energies. Five of Cups, Five of Swords. You know, an inability to think clearly. And to feel like somebody feels Cups energy like they're going down the drain. So they had to remove themselves to get centered. On Scorpio, this Death card, Queen of Cups. We have a King and a Queen of Cups. There'll be a transformation because you're both, and it could be internal, with your masculine and feminine sides. But I think it's about a relationship, because there's the cards of connecting and of not connecting. Going inside to receive the love. Maybe not from a particular person, but from the universe. But something shifted. Death card. And there's the other person. They may have been, or you may have been, in hermit mode, in this contemplative place where you're trying to figure out something about your life. Earth energy, your life, the 9 card. In contemplation, in heart activation, figuring out your feelings. Cancer energy. By submerging in them. Acceptance, not denial. And I think once, acceptance involves it's not sadness, it's letting in the loves. Resistance is futile. Okay. Queen of Cups, King of Cups. What's changed? Scorpio energy, death, rebirth. We're in Scorpio season, and it's just now closing out. Moving into Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. There may have been something that somebody really wanted to do on that to-do list we were talking about, and they're getting redirected inward. You can't move until you've felt it all the way through. And then there's this emotional rebirth, the Renaissance, after the Dark Ages. This is kind of like the Dark Ages. Sorry. Where you think you're alone. You think all is lost. It's still there, deep inside. This wellspring of connection. Cups speak to connection. Okay, is it this one? Based on some kind of healing. Again, a card of withdrawal in order to heal. Being in the nest. Renaissance is a rebirth. This is a card of the period preceding the birth, the rebirth. It says it right here, rebirth. The ending followed by rebirth. And it's the rebirth of emotion, of optimism, of connection. It's something you can be proud of. King of Wands can be a prideful energy, but I think in this case, the masculine has reason to be proud. But it may be sort of against the grain of this King of Wands energy that wants to, is fired up to do something. This is about the missed messages. Wow. 7 of Swords. Can be a card of deception, missed messages, because this guy is exiting quickly without an explanation, and the birds that were on their shoulder trying to give the message have been stuffed into this quiver where you keep your arrows. Somebody's been trying to stuff it. And they're sort of trying to go by cover of night. Didn't I say something about the night and the day? There is a big sun here. It's like the messages will be revealed. If somebody was trying to hide something, being secretive, maybe about how sad they were trying to put on some kind of front. Tell us about the lies, please, or the denial. Acceptance, not denial. There was one there that wanted to pop out and went right back into the quiver. This person may have been thinking about sword energy, communicating many times, but there was some need for healing, and perhaps on your part. He who is not busy being born is busy dying. Bob Dylan song. There's a need to, having closed out a cycle, to begin again, to be born again. On Seven of Swords, Star card. That's a card of Aquarius, sword energy, about connection. You know, all these cards of disconnect. I can't believe it. I can't hear it. I don't understand it. Suddenly there's like a, on the switchboard analogy, these things, you know, there's the light again. Reconnected to some kind of overview or a bigger understanding of the whole pattern. I think there's a suggestion here to take the overview. If you don't understand your role in something, clarity's coming. You know, Queen of Swords does not tolerate the lie. Not the lies they tell themselves or the lies other people tell them. They have a shit detector. That's a big transformation. Scorpio energy, death and rebirth, from the lie to the truth. The big truth, the big pattern. It's you know, from confusion to this archetypal energy of knowing that I think we're always connected to. But sometimes the circuits get jammed. You know, again, that if you don't know what a switchboard is, I apologize, but that's the image that's coming through. There may be a backlog. Perhaps when communication opens back up, there will be this backlog of things to understand and know about. It's going to take time, Seven of Pentacles, to sort it out. Truth from fiction. Queen of Swords is very good at that. She's true to herself. You may be an Aquarius or a Scorpio or a Cancer. Okay? The truth, the big truth, the override, the perspective from above, when you can rise above and look at the pattern and kind of separate, you know, truth from fiction. Temperance. Fire energy, Sagittarius. We're on the cusp. I mean, it's pretty close. A card of balance. The sun, the moon, the masculine, the feminine. The action, the reflection. Moon reflects. Sun is about action taking. I shine, I do this, I shine. And moon receives the light. It's giving and receiving. It's that energy that the divine supports, temperance, tempo, in divine timing. It's also a card of moderation, of not living in extremes. And there's something back and forth about this. That's the temperance. Between action and reflection. Between action, King of Wands. Archetypal fire energy. And reflection, moon energy. Balancing male and female. In the deepest place in our unconscious mind. Being able to take the deep dive, moon card, but also to take action. And the action is to balance things out. And it's in part to let the universe balance it out. Divine timing, it involves waiting. And perhaps waiting a long time, 7 years. For somebody to gain the understanding of themselves. And then they can, until you have that, how do you synthesize with somebody else? How do you find the blend? And it's sort of the message, keep the faith. Maintain the connection to your higher self, to the divine, to however you want to name that. There's an old show called Name That Tune. I'm getting that. Name that tune. What does that mean, name that tune? Three of Wands, it's another card of waiting. Having manifested something, waiting for it to come in. My ships will come in. I'm here poised to receive. I'm open to it. You may have been waiting a long time for communication from a fire sign. But it's waiting in optimism. Like while you're on hold, while the lines are down, while you're not receiving the messages, try to hold on to the idea that love is on its way. And synthesizing those two sides of yourself, action taking and reflecting. Yeah. Is it this one too? Okay. Waiting for, wow, Tower. Other card of Scorpio. It's coming faster than you think. This is sometimes considered a card of now. Three of Wands, it's coming in pretty fast, and Wands energy. All this, I'll reflect, I'll celebrate, I'll communicate, all in divine timing. It's a card of liberation. I think somebody's, being released from some psychic paradigm that was too small. There's this need for Aquarian expansiveness for the collective. We're not alone. And man, if there's a message coming through so loud, it's shouting at me, we're not alone. We not only have each other, 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, we have this connection to override. Where does it lie? There are a lot of options. We don't really know what's going to show up. But perhaps the connection we need the most. And it's no longer a situation of indecision. that's gotten blown up. It's like the change is coming willy-nilly. Whether you will it or not, it's on the way. Quickly. There's a bit more healing to happen. And I know we say that again and again, but there's always a bit more. You know, a bit more and a bit more. Because as we heal, other things come up. They come up. You know, from the unconscious to deal with, where we can get our hands on them. But I think something's really going down. Waiting for the opportunity to catch the wave, this surfing image. The wave being the emotion. It's like, get ready. Here it comes. You don't really have to understand it. You just need to open the heart. Both of you. That will restore the connection between you both, 8 of Wands, and between each of you and your tapping into that, you're individually tapping into the collective. It's a little bit of a paradox here. You have to go into yourself to tap into that sublime connective energy. Oh, geez, it's so long, but we're going to get one more on Tower, please. This one? It's slow. I mean, Tower I just said was fast and sudden, but I think this was the groundwork, Pentacles energy, Earth energy, groundwork leading up to this change. Step by step. 7 of Cups, Knight of Pentacles. A long time in contemplation. And now it's time. Boom, Tower. You know, something's going to fall apart in order for this renaissance. You know, something's going to end in order for the rebirth. Gestating in the nest, healing that little bit more. There are labor pains involved. But the rebirth is at hand. One more. Somebody's been holding back. You know, that business of resistance is futile. Well, I think this is too, when the Tower comes, there is this sort of duck and cover element. You know, in the midst of this upheaval, this is a card of hanging on or holding back. I think the holding back is getting exploded by Tower, and the hanging on part is, you know, don't let it shake you to your foundation. Tower energy. Tower implies that the foundation was unstable. Something couldn't be sustained. You know, your whole life and everything you've worked for, Pentacles energy, will not come apart when this Tower happens. It's a liberate. We got that the other day. It's a liberation, not a demolition. That's Rue snoring. She's bored with this, and perhaps you are too, by now. I love you guys. The messages are coming back through again. I'll re-engage. I'll be here. I hope you'll come back too, because I think we're back in the flow. The wait is almost over, Three of Wands. Some big change has already happened. And you're about to receive Queen of Cups. The good news. I think there's good news on the way. If there have been boundaries up, no more boundaries up. Open heart. Blow up the boundaries. Well, I think the universe will do that for you. And just like in Four of Pentacles, your life won't be destroyed because you have this connection. There's a purpose to it that you're going to see sword energy and understand. It will bring you back into balance. It'll bring the whole situation back into balance. We have on the board Scorpio twice in the Tower and in the Death card. We have Sagittarius in Temperance, divine timing, and Sagittarius time, like in a few days. We're waiting for it with a degree of optimism, which we had to dig for. We had to dig for it, Seven of Pentacles, but it's there below the surface. We've invested time and energy in this, and now we're waiting for the fruits of our labor. We're waiting for the results of what we've manifested to appear in our lives. Aquarius in the Star. Cancer in the Moon card. Virgo in Hermit. And that's it. Scorpio and Death. Yeah, that's it. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Rest and recuperate if you need to. You know, life won't... It's not like you'll miss out in that period of rest, recuperation, reflection. When you're ready to come back into the world will receive you with open arms and open heart. Trust in that. See you next time. For some reason, I don't want to hang up, you know, that five of Swords. I'm waiting for the communication. Well, it's there. It's there. Love to you all.